Property negative gearing, or propo-nego-giro, as we say in Australian slang, is when a multiple property owner says to the ATO, hey, look, I spent more money on my investment properties that I got back in rent, so I'm going to offset the total of that loss against my salary and pay less tax. OK, thanks, bye. Then later, if they sell one of their spare homes after it's skyrocketed in value, they'll enjoy a 50% reduction on the capital gains tax on the profit. Ka-bloody ching!
Thanks, Nick.
You're beauty.
Anyway, it drives up house prices because people want a slice of the nego-giro pie. More than 1 million Aussies do it, which makes Instagram ads like this one from Australian Unity all the more icky.
Because one day, Olivia will need a house deposit.
Targeted at millennials, it suggests they'll need to start saving now to give their infant kids the best chance at getting into the property market.
What? Invest in my kid's future? This champagne's not going to pay for itself.
And right now, because the Albo government has shown it's prepared to be flexible with tax policy, some pollies are now agitating for change.
It is part of the reason that we're having a housing crisis out there.
If Labor can change on stage 3 tax cuts, they can change on negative gearing and capital gains.
I think they have to be on the table.
Today, the PM himself was grilled on his reported personal $115K a year rental income as the Greens piled on the pressure.
Let's be real. If Labor wants to deal with housing affordability, then it's time to phase out the billions of dollars in tax concessions property investors get every year in the form of negative gearing and capital gains tax concessions.
Negative gearing cost the Treasury about $2.7 billion per year and about a further $19 billion with the capital gains tax concession. That's cash that could go towards rent assistance and or affordable housing.
We could be investing that money in building public housing. Instead, it is going to property investors like the Prime Minister with his 3 investment properties.
So far, the government isn't biting.
Negative gearing, are you supportive of the current rules?
Well, we're supportive of the current rules. We have not considered changes to them.
Labor is understandably gun-shy after taking negative gearing changes to the 2019 election. Their changes would have limited negative gearing to new properties only, which would have increased supply and dropped house prices between 5 and 12%, according to modelling. But after seeing Bill Shorten eat a sausage from the side, Australia just couldn't vote for him, or the nego-giro changes.
Tastes pretty brutal.
The capital gains tax discount and negative gearing are something that we're going to have a discussion about. If we want to have housing as something that everyone in our community can afford, then you've got to look at the tax system.
Well, joining us now from the Australia Institute is economist Greg Jericho. Greg, I hear negative gearing and it completely washes over me, I have to admit, despite Nick explaining it very well. However, he was clearly drunk. So can you please break it down for me in 30 seconds?
Oh, 30 seconds to explain tax, that's always good. Basically, we're talking here, negative gearing is when you take out a loan to buy an investment property, you rent that out, but the rent that you get is less than the cost of repaying that loan. And so you're actually making a loss. The great news for you is that you can claim that loss to reduce your taxable income. So just by taking out investment property and actually losing money, means that you can reduce the amount of tax you pay, and that's basically negative gearing.
So is it good or bad?
Oh, it's terrible. It's Australia's favourite tax fraud, really. That's what it is. The reason why it's bad is that it actually gives people an incentive to take out a loan to compete with people who are buying just for a house to live in, so that they're in fact competing with them to buy it, rent it out. And the only reason they're doing that is so they can reduce their taxable income. It is really a tax minimisation scheme disguised as a housing policy. Most of the benefits go to the wealthiest, and it massively distorts housing prices.
But they are investing. It is an investment by definition, buying an investment property. And if you invest in any other, it's a form of business, I suppose. And if you invest in any other business, you can claim the losses on your tax. That's how it works. These are deductions. Why should this be any different?
Well, I mean, one of the big differences is if you're a small business owner, you've decided, right, I'm going to, try and start up a business. The aim of that business and that investment is actually to make money, whereas the aim of negative gearing is actually to lose money. You are not trying to make a profit. You're not trying to grow a business and improve the economy and be able to employ people. You're actually doing this to just reduce your taxable income. And also the difference is we're talking about a sort of a finite number of houses in Australia. So if I start up a business, that's not actually preventing someone else starting up a similar business. Whereas using negative gearing gives people an advantage that actually reduces the opportunity of other people to own a home.
You've described it as a tax rort for the rich. The stat that often gets quoted is that the median income for people who are doing negative gearing is $60,000. It's not terribly high. How do you maintain your position that it's a tax rort for the rich against that fact?
Well, yeah, I mean, certainly lots of people do negative gear, but one of the things you can look at using the tax stats is it's very much a big correlation between how much you negative gear and how much you own. If you're an anaesthetist or a surgeon, there's a good bet that you're also negative gearing. It's a case of, yes, there are some, or quite a number of, nurses, school teachers who do negative gear, but a lot lower percentage than higher income earners. And what's also crucial is the more you earn, the more you negative gear and the higher average claim that you make. And so smaller and lower income people will negative gear, but they don't claim as much, whereas higher income earners will negative gear a large number of properties and claim a whole lot more. And so I think that's actually where there is some scope for government to actually say, right, probably getting rid of negative gearing completely is a tough ask. Maybe we should look at capping how much you can claim, maybe look at number of properties you can claim.
In Parliament today, Albo was under fire for reportedly making $115,000 off his rental properties. Now, should we have a problem with our PM having investment properties?
I think it's quite interesting that politicians are among the more eager negative gearers in the country. And it's because, once again, politicians earn a lot of money. So I think it is certainly an issue. It's something that we almost tiptoe around assuming, oh, no, there's no vested interest in there. They wouldn't act in their own interest. Well, maybe they do. And it's a case of it's just one more thing that people who are struggling to get into the housing market are looking at this and going, well, it's pretty rigged.
Well, Greg, between you and Nick, I'm one step closer to enlightenment. Thank you very much for your time.
No worries, guys. Great to talk.